coworker is an intelligent customer success partner.
Welcome to AI and the Future of Revenue Retention podcast, where we explore how AI is transforming customer success and revenue growth. I'm Susil, founder of Coworker. We work with revenue and customer success leaders to improve revenue retention using AI. Today, I'm joined by my co-host, our VP of Customer Experience, Cliff Love as well. Well, let's get started. Today, I'm joined by Celine Doumar, a customer success leader who has scaled and led high-performing CSM teams across SaaS companies, consistently driving renewals, upsell, and customer-centric strategies that influence product and long-term growth. Hey, Celine, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. Generally, what we try to do initially is basically, if you can kind of tell us about yourself so that our viewer will know whom they are kind of listening to.
Yeah, nice to meet everyone. Thanks for listening. My name is Celine Doumar. I'm a senior customer success manager at Federato, and I've been working in customer success basically since I started my career. So over a decade now, and I've worked at big companies and I've worked at a lot of startups, and that's where I've been for the past almost 10 years. So that's where a lot of my experience lies. I've also been in leadership and just I've worked a lot of different roles within the CS space. So that's sort of my professional background. And then just on a personal note, I am based in New York. I love New York a lot. I'm spending a couple months here in London for work. So that's really fun too. But yeah, love New York, best city in the world.
All right. Lucky you between
Yeah,
London and New
I
York,
know.
right?
Yeah,
You got all covered.
yeah, exactly.
All right, great. So if you can kind of explain us a little bit about your overall strategy of revenue retention from the customer retention and expansion perspective, what's your overall strategy at your current Federato, basically?
Yeah, I mean, I think this can be kind of said for a lot of different SaaS, a lot of SaaS companies in general, but um, you know, strategy on retention and expansion, those are two different things, but they're very tied
Absolutely.
together. Um, and I think the key for both is really starting off with a really strong foundation in a relationship. So ensuring that as a customer success manager, you understand what the goals are for that particular organization that you're working with, for each organization that you're working with. And I know this can differ depending on sort of like the segment of customer that you're working in. I'm in the enterprise space right now, but I've worked in middle market, SME, et cetera. But really understanding the business outcomes that the organization is trying to achieve and ensuring that throughout the partnership, you are always tying back what your platform is doing to those business outcomes. That I think is really the key to making sure your customers are successful, which when you get to retention or when you get to renewal, you can point at the metrics that you agreed on at the beginning of the partnership and say, hey, look at all the things that we achieved. These are the things you said you wanted to do. This is what we've done. Here are the positive business outcomes that we've had, so that the renewal is a no-brainer. So I think from a retention perspective, making sure you understand that and making sure you're always coming back to that is really important to sort of like remind the customer
Yeah.
the why. Um, Things can get dicey, like there's a support ticket that's open for too long, or
Hmm.
something really small happened and an end user had a poor experience. Whatever all those little things are, those are always going to happen. But you have to remember sort of like the why, and making sure you're always tying it back to their overall business strategy, because that's why they bought the software.
Yeah.
So I think that's really the key to retention, and that opens the door to expansions. If you understand their business really well, you understand where they're trying to go as an organization, you're not even really, I mean, you are selling, of course, but you are throughout the partnership going to be able to identify, hey, I think like this particular feature would actually be a really good fit for you because
Mhm.
it ties to this business outcome or whatever it might be. And so those conversations kind of happen naturally. because you understand the business so well and because you understand where they're trying to go as an organization. So I think sort of two different things there.
Yeah.
They really tie together, but it's really a deep understanding of the customer, what their goals are, and ensuring you're able to tie back your platform, the value they're getting there to those goals.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And actually, one of the gentlemen I kind of had an interview before, he said, uh, learn their buying motivation, right? Why they are buying it, right? And you kind of saying similar thing, right? I'm happy that it's kind of all kind of focusing on kind of understanding the customer and their motivation and their success, right? And being part of their success. And towards the end, what you said, like on expansion, I love that because when the salesperson comes in, the things might be different, or as opposed to when customer success tell them, right? And I think it's about the more about the mindset of the customer success people that they are really helping them, right, to grow, right? And that comes, kind of they can sense that as opposed to from the sales point of view, when you come in sales, they know they are being sold, right? So
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And
yeah.
and that's part of what I love about this role is like getting
Yep.
to be a sort of long-term partner. And that is
Yeah.
like when you have a good relationship with the client, like that is what it feels like, a partnership, and
Yep.
not like, oh, they're just my client or whatever.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
really build a good relationship, you build a good partnership, and
Mhm.
it's a part of what makes it fun. It's challenging,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
I think it can be really fun. So
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I agree. And I think there is a lot of mindset plays a lot of role as well, right? So
Yeah,
yeah, great.
absolutely. Yeah.
So moving forward, the next question is basically when you, let's say, you have to serve your customer, right? But of course, you have to know about your customer, right? Not only at the beginning of what their motivation and what their success factors, but as you go along the journey, you keep on, have a continuous loop of understanding your customer where they stand and are they have a potential of churn or there's a potential of upsell. So in your organization currently, what do you practice? How do you know those kind of information, those kind of data that empowers you and your team to serve your customer?
Yeah, and again, I think it depends on the kind of organization everyone's at. Like if you're enterprise versus um SMB or whatever it might be. But I think there's a lot of different factors that you can look at here to sort of understand what your customer sentiment is and sort of where they're headed. Um, I'll start with the kind of like very obvious one, but there's kind of two things. There's like external factors that are kind of uncontrollable, like customer
Sure.
raises a bunch of money, like that is
Mhm.
definitely a signal,
Mhm.
or customer does layoffs, like that's another signal. So like I think as a CSM, you have to be super aware of what's happening outside of the organization that's
Sure.
impacting the organization, that can kind of tell you the direction that the company is headed in. That those are always signals, news stories, whatever, that you should have a good pulse check on. Um, and then I think when it comes to actually like the customer relationship, there's a couple of uh key data points and then also key touch points I think that are important to have with customers. I'm sure everybody says this is a very obvious one. Business reviews, like executive business reviews. Um, and I know there's like a lot of rhetoric right now, like everybody hates slide decks and no one wants to look at your slide or whatever it might be. Like I still think those kinds of conversations are really important. So if you use a deck or if you just want to have an informal conversation, whatever it might be, having the ability to facilitate that type of strategic conversation to make sure that what you agreed on in Q1 is still the case in Q2. And if it's changed, what is the new goalpost or what is the new strategy for the business? And just making sure as a CSM, you have a pulse check on that all the time. Because again, that's how you decide sort of what your strategy is with the platform and how you want to drive that usage. I think that's always, again, really, really important. And then other kind of data points that I think are helpful. I know not everybody likes them, but I think tracking usage,
Yep.
it's not the end all be all, but if the usage is zero, like something is wrong. If the usage is like 50, who's to say? There's a lot of different user types, et cetera. But I think it is important to know that people are actually logging into the platform. Maybe not daily, but like monthly or whatever it might be. So I do think usage is a helpful guideline to just let you know, like at a baseline where things are. I like NPS personally. I know some people don't, but I like NPS. It also is a really good opportunity to uh, react and build relationships with customers if NPS is really poor or really positive. I think it's a good way to build like an advocacy program and build relationships with the people that don't have good experiences with your platform. So I think those
Okay.
are helpful metrics. They're not
Sure.
the end all be all, but I think the end all be all is like, does the economic buyer think that your platform is helping them achieve their business goal?
Yeah.
If the answer is yes, then like you're green. If the answer is no, then
Sure.
you're at risk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You, you, you,
Have
you
Go
you
ahead.
gave me a curiosity, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
Sushil. So
Sure.
you're talking about, Celine, the presentation decks and people moving
Yeah.
away from them. They're super important, right? For some of the
Yeah.
visuals and the analytics and all of that type of touch point and reminders of the history and the past. How have you seen that space transform, or where do you think it's going?
Yeah. Good question. I I think I have seen it honestly. I want to say it's changed a lot, but I think the general messaging of these kinds of decks that I've been presenting for the last how 15 years or whatever it is, the message is still generally the same. It's a similar format. It's like, what have we done so far? What have we done in our partnership so far? Um, what are our goals now? Maybe like a retrospective, et cetera. And where are we going to go? I think the conversations have become a little bit more data driven. And again, I think they have become more focused on outcome, or at least for me, like when I first
Mhm.
started in my career, the data I was presenting was probably not that strategic,
Ah.
and it was probably a lot more tactical.
Mm.
Whereas I think now I'm approaching it with a much more high level mindset. Um, so I think the way that I guess let's say like 10 years ago, I think CS was less strategic
Mhm.
from like an industry perspective in general. And I think CS has become a much more strategic role. And so I think the way that those decks have been presented from then to now, just the conversation has changed. The general message and the general like structure of that type of meeting, I think, is similar, but I think the type of conversation has changed so that it is much more strategic than it used to be.
Yep. No, I agree.
It's
I
so
think
very
that's
important whether you're at the early on set sales stage or whether you're on the renewal and continuing relationship build. There's such a level of dependence on the strategic nature of the why of what they're doing,
Yep.
understanding those objectives, what you've agreed to, and selling the outcomes. And whether you're success and renewal and everything, you're still selling outcomes.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
such an important piece of the strategy that needs to be incorporated, aligned with the history and the data and leveraging the past experience to help guide to the future.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I love it.
I agree.
Yeah.
So just kind of drilling a little bit down on that one. So from the signals, how have you used more health score, or are you more fan of health score or signal, right? There is some debate going on these days. Health score is one, and the another one is the signal, right? As trigger, just like you said, job
Yeah.
change or whatever, whatnot, right? And that can give you the signal faster, right? The change, right? So what have you used in your kind of past or current organization from that perspective?
I've used a variety of different things. I've definitely been at organizations where we're deciding health based on vibes, and I'm sure that is common in other startups as well. But I think like the ideal is really using a combination of signals to decide, okay, if I want usage to be like 5% of my health score, and I want NPS to be 10% or whatever whatever that combination should be. And you can even include a sentiment that a CSM fills out in that health score overall. That's, I think, the most effective way to create health score for a customer, because it is data driven and it is sentiment, because I also think
Sure.
CSM sentiment is important. Like CSMs know stuff that data doesn't know. So I think that that is an important part of the health score. Like it's important for the CSM to be able to have a say in it. Yeah.
Sure, sure. There is some discussion going on when you look at the health score is vague, right? Just, well, you have a score, but it doesn't have the story behind it. And it may be lagging because by the time you calculate the score and all those things already happen, right? And there is another school of thoughts like, okay, just abandon the health score, just tie your action to the trigger that happened and identify those trigger right away and take action on that. I'm just trying to think what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, you're not just calculating health score on a quarterly basis. Like there are systems that can just calculate it real time. So day over day, you can look at the health score. Like that would be ideal. And if the health score is red, then you can go look at, okay, what are all the reasons why the health score is red? And create a plan based on that and not just gut react to, oh, like I see one of the triggers is low. Let me react to that and react to this, but create a more holistic strategy overall to try to understand like the story behind the
Sure,
red and
sure.
then execute on that.
Okay, gotcha. So your point of view is great. Signals are great, but you cannot be too reactive to signals either because you have to look at holistic. Awesome. So what are the roadblocks from signal to action from the human perspective? What are the limitations that you have?
I think probably some of the hardest parts of it is getting the right people to respond or to react to the things that you need. Like you might not be able to get your champion, or I hopefully you can get your champion to reply. They're your champion for a reason. But if you can't get a response or get information from the economic buyer that you might need, or user feedback is really poor and you're struggling to um, get time or get face to face with that user feedback, I think people are really busy. And just getting the connection with the right people to execute on your plan, that can be hard, which is also why your champion is
Sure.
so important because they can kind of help wrangle you. But I
Mhm.
think in terms of executing on your plan, if you can't get to the right people, you're going to really struggle to do that. So, um, having someone on your team to
Sure.
help you do that from the customer perspective is really important.
How about your limitations on your team's work that they need to do before they reach out to customer? Is there any roadblocks there?
I would say time probably.
Hmm.
Time is
Hmm.
always a roadblock in every CS role I've had. CSMs are
Yep.
doing a lot all the time. And if you are working in the middle market space and you have 30 to 50 customers
Yep.
and five of them are red, that's a
Mm.
lot of save plans that you're working on all at the same time, a lot of coordination and maybe all of them are
Yeah.
same worth, like same ARR. So
Mhm.
um I think time
Sure. No,
honestly
that,
it's one of the
yeah,
biggest struggles.
absolutely. That's
Yeah.
what we've been hearing from other
Yeah.
CS leaders as well. So now you hear all about AI, and of course you are AI first company itself,
Yeah.
right? So what do you think in your current organization? Where are you on leveraging AI for customer success journey? You're exploring, experimenting, implementing. Where are you?
Yeah, we are I mean, this is sort of like culture of this company, but we are just doing a lot of experimenting, honestly. And uh different people are trying different things and sort of sharing it internally. And when processes make sense, that's what we're kind of implementing across the board. Um, so that's kind of where we're at.
Okay.
We're trying to, I wouldn't say that it's like a super, I don't I don't mean for this to sound negative, but super organized fashion of
Sure,
like
sure,
we
sure,
have this
sure.
AI initiative and we're going to do it, but I would say it's more like everyone is
Yeah,
already
yeah,
doing it and we're just choosing which ones make the most sense for
yeah.
our organization.
I think that's where many of the organization are who are
Yeah.
exploring basically, right?
Yeah,
From
exactly.
whatever work you want AI to do, kind of exploring. Okay, no, great.
Yeah.
So final question. What's your goal for 2026 from a customer success perspective?
Yeah, I would say personally, like I have a lot of my goal is always make sure with my customers I get out of the weeds and be strategic and make sure I'm having those important conversations. Um, Expansion is really important for our organization, and retention is really important for our organization. I mean, both of those things are a heavy part of my goals for 2026. So that can't be very different from any other CS person
Yeah.
you're talking to. I'm sure it's the
Mhm.
same across the board. But I think for me personally, to make sure that I'm able to meet those goals is uh yeah, reminding myself to get out of the weeds, not be tactical and make sure I'm being strategic with those partnerships.
All right, great.
How
Awesome.
do you remind yourself not to be tactical?
Yeah. Every day I'm like, Celine, stop doing this. Yeah. I have a post-it note or
Have it on the
something.
wall.
Yeah. 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 It's a daily struggle for me.
Mm,
But I'm working on it. So
absolutely.
yeah, I think I'll get there.
Absolutely.
It's a tough skill and it's a tough reminder because
Yeah.
there's so many things coming your way. There's so
Yeah.
many different clients, partners,
Yeah.
organizational partners,
Yeah.
et cetera, that pull you in a million different directions. And so um, it'll be interesting to see where you guys progress from that AI perspective too, because the
Yeah.
assistant capability that comes in that world has to be a significant advantage to help guide you.
Yeah,
I would
exactly.
assume. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
High impact
Sounds
activities only. That's the mantra for the rest of the year.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. No, great. Thank you so much. We really enjoyed talking with you, and I'm sure our viewers will enjoy our conversation as well. So thank you so much for taking time. Appreciate it.
Thank you both. Have a good rest of your day.
Feel free to contact us if you want to learn more about how AI can help customer success.